Howdy friends, it's Alicia of A Picklewalk Sloth Knits, and I'm going to attempt my very first podcast. So grab yourself something to drink and sit back and we'll have a talk. So I thought I would introduce myself and kind of explain the name of my channel. I'm Alicia. I am a mom of 3. And I live in North Texas with my husband and my kids. My daughter is 19 and she attends Texas A&M University. And I have 2 boys who are twins and they are 16. And so we live here in North Texas, and I spend a lot of my time carting my boys around to practice for swim and for dive, and to and from school and to and from youth group, and a lot of my time I spend knitting. I also volunteer with my local Bible study fellowship group and teach preschoolers once a week, and that's a lot of fun. So that's a little bit about me. So I am a Picklewalk Sloth Knits, and I got that name because I have a group of great girlfriends, and we all met in a town called Mansfield, Texas. And Mansfield is known for pickles. It is the hometown of Best Made Pickles, and every March around St. Patrick's Day, we have a pickle parade. As far as I know, it's the only place that has a pickle parade. And they generally, for the pickle part of the pickle parade, the whole Pickle Palooza, is they have a 5K run. So one year, this group of girlfriends and we got together to do this 5K, and we call it running because we mostly walk and chat and occasionally jog. But it's called the Pickle Walk, and we wanted to get costumes, dress alike for this 5K. So we found t-shirts on Amazon that were green because it's a pickle parade. But they were the sloth running team. And the motto is, we'll get there when we get there. And that's kind of how we felt about the whole thing, was we'll get there when we get there. We're here to have fun. So we all got those shirts. So we are Picklewalk Sloths. And I am just a Picklewalk Sloth, and I happen to knit. Several other of my sloth friends also knit, and maybe one day they'll be featured here. So I will try to post a few pictures of my group of friends who make up the Picklewalk Sloths. We just chose that as our name for our little friend group, and so that's where the name comes from. I guess I will start with what I am wearing because it has cooled down in North Texas, but it is still a little bit warm for all this wool. So I will start by taking this off. This is my Lilli Pilli wrap, and it is a pattern by Amba O'Brien, and it has sections of garter, and then it has sections of lace. And this is one of my first shawls that my husband and I went on a cruise in 2017 in April, and I took some knitting with me, as knitters do. And I met a couple of other knitters on the cruise. One of them was working on the Lilli Pilli wrap, and I just loved it. And so I promptly came home from the cruise and ordered some yarn from Southern Skeins. And so I believe both colors are from Southern Skeins. And I got the pretty blue because I wanted it to remind me of the cruise, and then the gray just as a contrast, and they're both sparkly, and it is her sock base, her sparkle sock base. I do not remember the color names. It's been a while and I didn't take the time to look it up and make notes. So that's my Lilli Pilli wrap. And then I'm also wearing my swallowtail sweater, and that is by Knitosophy, I believe is how you say it. I will put all of the information in the description. And this sweater, I just loved all the color work and the butterflies. And oops, let's go this way. So it was one of the first sweaters I knit. I do enjoy color work, and so I gave it a try. It is loose on me, but I like that. I didn't want it to be tight. And so the green yarn and the blue are, let me see. I pulled this out so I would know. They are Lucky Violet Color Company. And they are, I believe, the Lillith base, which is 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon. And I ordered the green, I ordered special to make this sweater. And then the blue I had, and it's actually two different colors of blue. But I liked it. The top part is the bluer blue, and then the around the sleeves and the base, it has this more greens and yellows and blues. And then I believe the gray is Southern Skeins, her sock yarn, and the white, the off-white may also be Southern Skeins. So that's what I'm wearing. Both of these I've had for several years now. They've been done. This is probably my favorite sweater. I've not knit a whole lot of sweaters for myself. I have one or two others that I wear, but this one's probably my favorite. So I guess we will start off with FOs, finished objects. I have a few, and since this is my first podcast, I can just go through lots of my stuff, but I picked a few for today, and that are more recent. So my first one is I have these socks, and they are fully finished and ready to be worn. These are the Holly White socks, and they are by Breaking Yarn, and the yarn is also her Holly White colorway in her sock yarn from Breaking Yarn. And I will again put the information in the description. So I'm excited. It's finally starting to get cool, so I can wear some of my cozy socks. So I'm excited to wear these. And then I have, this is another Amba O'Brien, and it's a wrap, and it still needs to be blocked, but it is done, and it is the Audra Wrap. And the purple is actually yarn that I dyed. I've dabbled in yarn dyeing. I'd like to dabble some more, but we'll just have to see how that goes. So it is, it's just a sock yarn that I believe I ordered it. Honestly, I don't know. It's been a while, but I dyed this up. I called it Mermaid Symphony was what I named it. I think I did maybe 3 skeins. And then the white is just an undyed, but it's a sparkle. And so anyway, that is my Audra shawl, and I finished that one this year as well. So I think I'm gonna stop with 2 FOs for this podcast anyway. I am hoping to have a few more FOs that are even more recent for my next podcast. I am working on, of course, the West Knits Make Along, Mystery Knit Along, sorry. And so I'm hoping that that will be done relatively within the time frame, not too long after October. I'm behind, so we'll see how it goes. And then I have several socks that I'm working on. And then I'll show some other things too. I've done a lot of Advent knits using the Advent kits, and so I have several of those and a couple other shawls that I can show, but I just wanted to do what I was wearing and then those two finished objects for now. So for works in progress for my whips, I have, let me see, oh, there it is. So as I was saying about doing lots of Advent knits, I enjoy the Advent knitting and the kits with all the colors, the mini skeins. As a result, I have a ton of leftover mini skein bits that are, a lot of them are over 10 grams. So I started earlier this year a sea glass tee. And I'm using fingering weight, and I've gotten to the body, but I've separated for the sleeves, but I haven't started on the sleeves yet. And I will probably make mine a little bit longer. I'm not big on the crops, so mine will probably be a little longer, but I have plenty of mini skeins left over. So anyway, so I'm working on that kind of little by little as I go. And I'm not sure how I'm doing it with the undyed. I have some skeins of that. So I'm using that with the mini skein colors. So it's just kind of going throughout. And then the mini skeins are, I'm changing up, I think, every 2 rows. I just want to use up as much of the yarn as I can. So that is one of my works in progress, and I'll just continue. I'll just continue working on that until it gets as long as I want it, and then I'll start the sleeves. And then I'm thinking about in the future trying to find some other projects where I can use up leftover yarn. So maybe some blankets or something like that. But for now, I'm working on the sea glass tee. And then my other whip is these socks, and they are by the Crazy Sock Lady. And I don't have my iPad up here, and the pattern, I think it's Rainbow Connection, but I will put the correct information in the description. So I got through my first sock, and it was super fun, and I loved it. And the yarn is, this is a self-striping. The color is a self-striping by Vista Dyeworks, I believe. And then the cream is, I think the cream is Southern Skeins. And they're both sock bases. So I got going. Oh, actually this is the first one. So I got going, got through the first sock, and it went really quick. It's a super fun pattern, and it's really easy. And because it was so easy and super fun and quick, I started on the second sock and I just took off. And if you'll notice, I did the back wrong. So the back of the sock is just regular stockinette stitch, and it's not done in the pattern. Well, I just did the pattern all the way around on my second sock. So I have enough yarn, so I just started a third sock. So I'll end up having 4 socks so that I have 2 pair. So I started my second one. So it is a work in progress, even though I have 2 completed socks. It's a double work in progress, I guess. So working on the third sock. It has not been getting much attention since the West Knits Mystery Knit Along started. So those are a couple of my works in progress. I have other works in progress that are languishing, that haven't really worked much on in a while. I tend to be one who I just don't think there are ever too many works in progress. So I start stuff and I'll set it down and I'll come back to it. I did earlier this year go through all of my packed away bags and all of my yarn and organize stuff. And I did rip out and frog several things that I just knew I was never going to finish. So I try to do that once every year or so. Go through and just, if you're not going to do it, let's just be done and use the yarn for something else. Or if it's yarn that you just don't love anymore, I try to find someone who might love it. But those are my most current works in progress that I've worked on most recently. And so that is that. As for, let me think, acquisitions. So I think my most recent yarn purchase, let me think. Yeah, I think my most recent yarn purchase was the Holly White colorway from Breaking Yarn to do those, because I wanted to do those socks. I had these grand ambitions of doing summer sock camp and making all these socks, and then I got distracted and made one pair of socks, two pair of socks. But I did finish those. So I think that was my most recent yarn purchase. But just before that, in I think the beginning of May, we had the North Texas yarn crawl. And so I drove all over North Texas multiple days and went to all of the stores on the yarn crawl and made some purchases. I tried to make a purchase of something at each store. And so I did buy quite a bit of yarn. I had no real plan. I just wanted to look at pretty yarn. And if it was yarn that I just thought I had to have, I just bought a skein here or a skein there. So here are a few of the skeins that I found on my journey all over North Texas to the different yarn stores. The first one is this one by Beachy Breeze. This is the Boardwalk sock. And this was an exclusive colorway to On the Lamb, which is a store in North Texas. So the colorway is called On the Lamb. And this yarn is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, fingering weight, 4-ply, 100 grams, 463 yards. It's beautiful. It's very soft. It's a lavendery color with gray. I don't know. Anyway, I love it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It might have to become socks because I only got the one skein. Or I might be able to have a lot of purple. So I might be able to find some other yarn and make a shawl. And then I was very excited. I believe, I'm not even going to try to remember what store. But I found some potions yarn. And it's beautiful. I don't even know how to describe the colors. It's just so pretty. It is Banshee fingering. It's 100 grams, 100% superwash merino, 438 yards, and the color is called Gingerbread Cottage. And it's just, I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. It'll be a shawl, I guess. I'll find some yarn to match it and do a shawl, probably. But it was too pretty to pass up, so I just bought it. I do remember where I got this one. I got this one at McKinney Knittery, and it is less traveled yarn. And it is the Blushing Botanist Creosote Collection, Paloma Fingering, 90% superwash, superfine merino, 10% silk. And it's 463 yards. And the color is called the Blushing Botanist is the colorway. They were having a trunk show at McKinney Knittery, and this yarn is super, super soft and just really, I have a thing for colors in the purple range of shades and hues. And let's see. This one, again, I can't remember which store because I went to all of them. It was, I think it was in Grapevine. But it was the Louisiana Yarn Guys. And this color is sea green. I love it. I also like that color a lot. And it is 100% superwash merino, 100 grams, 438 yards. Very, very nice. I have a few non-yarn acquisitions. So I recently went to the crafting store and I picked up some fabric with sloths on it. I think I'm going to try to make, and then I got this to kind of coordinate with it, but I think I'm going to try to make some project bags maybe. So I also picked up a pattern. We'll see how that goes. I haven't really sewn in a while, so, but we'll see. Coming soon. Future whip. And then I also was scrolling through Instagram recently, and I saw this beautiful, beautiful book, and it's Knitting the National Parks, and it is a book of hat patterns, and it's by Nancy Bates, so I promptly ordered it, and it came recently. And if I ever finish this West Knits Twist and Turns Mystery Knit Along, I hope to start on some of these hats. And I recently, a friend of mine, Taya, who I've known for over 10 years now, and she's a knitting friend. She was actually the friend when I started knitting. I taught myself to knit. It was before YouTube, I think. So I used like a book that I found at probably Michael's. And I was knitting, I was creating fabric with yarn, and needles. And so we started, gosh, it's been probably 13 years or so. We started having ladies' coffee night, and we would meet for coffee. And my friend Taya started coming to ladies' coffee, and we would bring our yarn if we were knitters or crocheters or and any other portable craft that we could bring, and we would sit and have coffee and visit. But Taya was my yarn friend who informed me that I was knitting wrong. I was knitting through the back loop, so my stitches were twisted. And so she showed me how to knit correctly, which was actually much easier. So, but she's my knitting friend who, I dabbled in knitting for a long time, and I really love knitting now. It's really what I do while I watch TV or in my downtime. I knit. But she was next level to me. I mean, she was dyeing yarn and weaving and knitting and crocheting on a level that I just, I was knitting scarves with Red Heart at the time, and she was using all different types of wool and alpaca and all these fibers that I just didn't have any idea about. So she's like my professional knitting friend. And recently she was doing a destash and had a ton of yarn and said, hey, if you can come pick it up, you can have it. So in that D stash of yarn that Taya had is a ton of worsted weight wool. And so I'm hoping that I can find colors that will work for these patterns. And so I can knit the national parks and make hats for people for gifts. I don't know how many will get them this Christmas, but maybe next year. Additionally, in that D stash, she had a ton of yarn. It really was a ton. I don't even know. I'm gonna have to make her something amazingly beautiful. She had these skeins as well, and these are by Lazy Cat Yarn. And this is Indulgence. It's 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. And this is called Run You Clever Boy is the colorway. And then these are the same yarn base. Yeah. And these are called Sweet Gum is the colorway. So I don't know, these might become a shawl or something. I don't know, we'll see. But those were some other acquisitions. So, and also my friend Taya, who has been so generous with the destashing of her yarn. She is a Color Street nail person. And so I have my A&M nails on right now. I just did them. And it's been a while since I've done them, so they're not perfect, but they'll do. We'll probably be watching the game this Saturday. Both my daughter and my husband are A&M students currently. She is a sophomore, and my husband just started his master's program through A&M as well. So we cheer on the Aggies on Saturdays. So I'm going to put Taya's contact information if you need some Color Street nail stickers, nail polish stickers. Show Taya some love because she has shown me a great deal of love. And so that I think is it. I wanted to come to you from this little corner of our house where I have all of the crafty things have exploded. I've tried to do a little yarn cabinet, and it really was not that full until the yarn crawl and the Taya haul. So it is kind of fun. I am currently trying to knit mostly from stash. I do have one yarn advent coming, and I'm hoping to do Vlogmas. So, but that is something I love to do every year, is at least one advent project. And so I have several. One is actually blocking right now. I'm blocking it right now, but I wanted to kind of save them in preparation for Vlogmas, to kind of share about those. So stay tuned for future podcasts and Vlogmas, and I will be, I haven't really decided how often I will do a podcast. I'm not a slow knitter, but I am an easily distracted knitter, I think. I knit, I probably average speed, but I don't necessarily knit in marathon sessions. I knit while I watch TV, and you know, if someone starts talking to me, a lot of times I stop knitting because I want to concentrate on the conversation. So, you know, some projects go very fast, and some just take longer. And sometimes I get in the middle of a project and want to start another project, and I do. So, I don't know how much I'll have to share. And so I don't know what the frequency of the podcast will be. As I have things to share, as things are completed and I have things to share, I will podcast and I'll show some more of my yarn, because I'm trying not to buy as much right now because Christmas is coming and I will have the Advent coming, and I need to use up all this beautiful yarn that I got on the yarn crawl and that I received from Taya and that I already had. So, but I'll show some more of it in future podcasts as I have new finished projects and new works in progress. And anyway, and you know, that is one of the reasons I love the Advent projects, is because those get finished. Generally, the ones that I pick, I can do that amount of knitting in a day. It's not a huge amount, and so I can get the color done in a day, and then those get finished. Now, whether they get their ends woven in and blocked before the next Advent season, that's another whole other issue, but the actual knitting does get finished, and I like that. So I think that is it. I feel like this went pretty quickly, and I hope to be a little more organized in the future. I just really wanted to get this podcast out and just share a little bit about myself and about the yarn I love and the projects I enjoy, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. And I am gonna just say bye, and I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.